Dawn mist clung to the cedars near the edge of the family farm on Vancouver Island, the kind that softened everything, fences, fields, even time itself. Dew jeweled the grass. Crows watched from the branches, clever and unimpressed. Wild Rose stood barefoot in the clearing, 18 years old, hair loose, the quiet hum of the saucer answering her pulse. With a thought, the craft unfolded from nothing, petals of light resolving into smooth metal, resting gently on the forest floor as if it had always belonged there. She stepped inside. The ship lifted without fire, without sound louder than a breath. Ferns bent, needles trembled. Then the saucer rose through the mist and cleared the treetops, sunlight flashing across its hull. Radar noticed. Far south, alarms chirped. Screens bloomed with an object that refused to identify itself. 2 fighters launched first, then 2 more. Wild Rose felt them long before she saw them. Sharp minds, fast machines, curious and cautious predators. She smiled and nudged the saucer higher, slipping into open sky above the strait, clouds stacked like mountains below. The jets closed fast. She rolled gently, letting them see her, letting them almost understand. One pilot locked on. Another broke formation, circling, unsure. Wild Rose let the saucer dance, clean arcs, impossible turns, stopping dead in the air before sliding sideways like a skipping stone. The fighter screamed past, overshooting, trying desperately to compensate. She laughed, light and free. Too loud, she murmured. The saucer accelerated, not forward, but elsewhere. Space folded like fabric pinched between fingers. The ocean stretched into a mirror. The sky fractured into geometry and light. The pilot saw it happen. 1 second the object was there, bright, impossible, mocking every law they'd trained their lives to trust. And the next it wasn't gone so much as unwritten. No explosion, no trail, just absence, sharp and final. Fold space snapped closed. Back on Vancouver Island, the forest settled. Mist returned to its patient drifting. The clearing looked untouched, save for one flattened ring of grass that would puzzle deer and farmers alike. Wild Rose slipped between stars, already moving through layered time, already smiling at what came next. Behind her, reports would be filed. Words like anomalous, unidentified, lost contact would be typed and retyped. Pilots would argue quietly in bars, swearing to things they were told never happened. And somewhere beyond radar, beyond centuries, an 18-year-old girl with red hair flew on, not fleeing, not hiding, just reminding the universe that she was still very much at play. At 18, Wild Rose had already learned that the universe did not always move forward. The saucer, her saucer, hung low over the prairie like a second moon, its hull whispering as it cooled. When the hatch opened, warm wind rolled in, carrying the smell of sun-baked grass, wild sage, and something older than cities or stars. Wild Rose stepped down in worn boots, red hair braided tight against the wind, and the ship vanished behind her, folding itself into light. The sky was enormous, blue without wires, endless without engines. She knew where and when she was. The instruments had sung it to her before going silent. The open plains of the North American West, long before fences stitched the land into squares. The age of buffalo, of campfires and hoofbeats, of stories carried by smoke. Grass rippled to the horizon. A dark river of movement surged in the distance. Buffalo, thousands of them. They moved like a living continent, shaggy heads low, earth trembling beneath their weight. Wild Rose climbed a low rise and watched in silence, heart pounding with awe. She had crossed galaxies, but nothing she had seen among the stars felt as powerful as this, life moving together, unafraid, unbroken. By dusk, she found signs of people, a thin thread of smoke, the imprint of horses near a creek. She approached slowly, openly, hands empty. Cowboys were there first, dusty men with wide hats and wary eyes, driving a small herd, their voices low and tired. They stared at her strange clothes, her accent that belonged nowhere. Before words could harden into suspicion, riders emerged from the cottonwoods on the far bank. Indigenous hunters, faces calm, observant, as rooted to the land as the trees themselves. The air tightened, not with hatred, but with caution, history still unwritten, violence not yet inevitable. Wild Rose spoke little, she listened. That night, the fire burned shared. Stories were traded in fragments and gestures. She learned the names of plants crushed into salves for wounds, roots that eased hunger, leaves that quieted fever. An elder showed her how to read the land the way sailors read stars, where water would be even when the ground cracked, where animals would pass when seasons shifted. Days became weeks. She fished in quiet streams where trout flashed silver in the shade. She learned to set lines without stealing the river's future. She foraged with careful hands, yarrow for bleeding, camas bulbs, roasted sweet in ash, berries gathered with thanks spoken aloud. She slept beneath skies so full of stars they felt close enough to touch, their patterns older and truer than any map she had known. Once a bear wandered into camp at dawn, massive and curious. No one reached for a weapon. They spoke softly, backed away, and let it pass. Respect exchanged without words. Wild Rose felt something settle inside her then, a recognition deeper than language. This world was not perfect. She saw hunger. She saw fear. She saw the first shadows of a future she knew too well. But she also saw balance and restraint, and lives lived in direct conversation with the land. On the morning she left, the prairie was washed in gold. The buffalo had moved on. The stream ran quiet. Wild Rose stood alone on a rise as her saucer shimmered back into being. She took memories. The stars accepted her again, but they did not let her forget. The saucer slipped between centuries the way a stone skips water, light bending, time loosening its grip. Wild Rose sat alone in the pilot's cradle, fingers resting on the living console, eyes closed as the prairie echoed inside her. The thunder of buffalo hooves, the hush of grasses bowing to wind, the low murmur of voices around a shared fire. The ship did not ask where she wanted to go. It already knew. When the hatch opened again, cold air rushed in, sharper this time, tinged with pine and snowmelt. Mountains rose in the distance, their peaks still scarred with white. This was the West, but later. The land had shifted. So had its people. Tracks cut the earth now, wagon ruts, deep and raw. Trees lay felled where forests once stood unbroken. Wild Rose felt the ache of it, the wound of change made too fast. She followed a river upstream, walking for days, living lightly. She caught fish with a bone hook she carved herself. She brewed tea from spruce tips and wild mint, just as she had been taught. At night, she listened, to wolves calling from ridges, to the land adjusting to new pressures like a living thing, learning to breathe again. One evening, she came upon a lone homestead, a sagging cabin, smoke thin as a prayer rising from its chimney. A woman stood outside splitting wood, her movements practiced but exhausted. Two children watched from the doorway, eyes too old for their faces. Wild Rose helped without explanation. She stacked wood, repaired a broken snare, showed the woman which plants near the creek could be eaten and which would kill quietly. No names were exchanged. Gratitude did not need them. That night, after the children slept, the woman asked softly, "Where are you from, really?" Wild Rose looked at the fire. "Farther than you can ride, older than you can imagine." The woman nodded, accepting it as truth or perhaps as kindness. Days later, riders came, armed men searching for land, for gold, for something to take. Wild Rose felt the tension before she saw them. She guided the family into the timber, showed them how to mask tracks, how to move with the land instead of against it. When the riders passed, finding nothing but silence, the forest seemed to exhale. Wild Rose knew then that she could not stay. Every kindness risked becoming a change too large. Time was fragile. It bent, but it remembered. She returned to the saucer beneath a sky bruised purple by dusk. Before leaving, she knelt and pressed her palm to the soil. "I remember you," she whispered. The ship carried her forward again, past railroads, past wars, past cities growing like crystal reefs. She watched eras flicker by in fragments, buffalo reduced to bones, rivers dammed, skies crowded with wires and wings. She felt grief, but also a stubborn thread of hope, woven by those who still listened. At last, the saucer settled in a familiar clearing near her own time. The forest here was thinner, the night louder with distant machines, but life endured. Moss still glowed faintly on fallen logs. Water still sang over stone. Wild Rose stepped out, no longer just a traveler. She had become a keeper. In the days that followed, she did not tell anyone where she had been. Instead, she planted. She taught. She shared old knowledge in new words. How to forage without stripping the land bare. How to fish and leave the river richer than you found it. How to notice when the earth was speaking softly instead of screaming. Sometimes when she slept, she dreamed of the prairie as it once was, buffalo moving like storms, fires burning low and purposeful, people and animals bound in quiet agreement. And sometimes, just before waking, she felt the grass moving beneath her feet again, endless and alive, as if time itself remembered her too and was waiting, patiently, for humans to learn how to belong once more. The saucer did not slow as it slipped out of the time stream. It laughed. Light bent into color, stars smeared into molten gold. And then the craft dropped low over a turquoise bay so bright it hurt to look at. Palms leaned toward the water as if eavesdropping. Cannons jutted from stone forts. Sails crowded the horizon like a forest of ghosts. Wild Rose set the ship down beyond the mangroves, where the air smelled of salt, rum, and rot. The hull folded itself into nothing, leaving her standing barefoot in warm sand, red hair loose now, sun catching fire in it. This was the Caribbean, deep in the age of pirates. The port was chaos made joyful. Gulls screamed overhead. Dockhands cursed in half a dozen languages. Barrels rolled, coins clinked, knives flashed, and vanished again. Every ship wore scars, patched planks, mismatched sails, figureheads missing eyes or arms. They were all hungry for the same things: gold, freedom, and a little legend to cling to. Wild Rose followed the sound of singing into a tavern called the Broken Compass. The place heaved with life. Pirates packed shoulder to shoulder. Tattooed arms, wooden legs, gold teeth catching candlelight. Tankards slammed, dice clattered. A fiddler scraped out a tune that fought bravely against the roar. Conversation faltered when she stepped inside. She was too clean for a dockside girl, too calm for a runaway, too certain for anyone who had ever begged passage. A man with a beard braided in coins squinted at her. "Well now," he said, "either I've had too much rum or you walked in from a dream." Wild Rose smiled and climbed onto a table before anyone could stop her. "I'm looking for a ship," she said, voice clear above the din, "and a crew brave enough to sail past the edges of your maps." Laughter burst out, loud, mocking, eager. "Treasure?" someone shouted. "Monsters?" another jeered. "Death?" called a third, hopeful. "All of it," Wild Rose replied easily. "And more." That quieted them. She told them stories, not like a liar, but like someone remembering. She spoke of islands that rose only once every 100 years, their beaches paved with greenstone and gold, of Spanish wrecks swallowed by reefs that moved like living things, of a place where the stars reflected so perfectly in the sea that you could navigate by sailing downward. She described chests bound in black iron that sang when opened, coins stamped with kings no one remembered, a map inked on whaleskin that only revealed itself under moonlight. As she spoke, even the drunkest pirates leaned in. Greed sharpened into hunger, hunger into belief. A scar-faced woman with a cutlass at her hip studied Wild Rose closely. "You speak like someone who's seen these things." "I have," Wild Rose said, "and I know where the next one lies." Silence fell. Then chairs scraped back as Captain stood. "I'll take her," barked a man with a red sash. "She's mine," growled another, hand drifting to his pistol. Wild Rose raised a finger. "I won't sail under any flag but my own." That earned her real laughter, until she tossed a coin onto the table. It wasn't gold, not exactly. It shimmered, etched with unfamiliar stars. The metal hummed faintly, like a distant tide. Every pirate in the room felt it. A prickle at the base of the spine. "I'll commission a ship," Wild Rose said. "Fast, shallow draft, reinforced keel. And I choose the crew." By dawn, the deal was struck. The ship was called the Wayward Star, a sleek brigantine with black hull and pale sails, refitted to Wild Rose's exacting, baffling specifications. The crew was a beautiful disaster. Escaped slaves, disgraced naval officers, knife-happy deckhands, navigators who trusted dreams as much as compasses. They argued constantly, but when Wild Rose stepped on deck, they listened. She stood at the helm as the harbor fell away behind them. "Where to, Captain?" the scar-faced woman asked, grinning. Wild Rose looked out over the open sea, where the horizon shimmered just a little too brightly. "To a place that shouldn't exist," she said, "and to a treasure that doesn't want to be found." The wind snapped the sails full. The Wayward Star surged forward. Behind them, the pirate port returned to its noise and vice. Ahead lay uncharted waters, secrets older than empires, and a girl who had crossed galaxies now sailing with thieves and dreamers, about to carve her legend into the bones of the sea. The island rose from the sea at dawn like a memory breaking the surface. Low green and ringed with black rock, it did not appear on any chart. The water around it shimmered strangely, currents folding in on themselves as if reluctant to let ships pass. The Wayward Star slowed, timbers creaking, while the crew muttered prayers and superstitions. Wild Rose stood at the bow, certain. "Drop anchor," she said. "We go ashore light." They found the beach exactly where she said it would be. 3 leaning palms, a crescent of white sand, and a freshwater spring hidden behind hanging vines. No birds called, no insects sang. The island felt paused, held in a breath between centuries. The crew dug where she pointed, laughing at first, then swearing as the spade struck iron. The chest came up black with age, bound in bands etched with symbols none of them could read. When they pried it open, the air itself seemed to warm. Gold spilled out, coins from dead empires, bars stamped with forgotten seals, gems the size of knuckles catching fire in the sun. There were rings heavy with history, goblets chased with scenes of wars no one remembered winning, and pearls that glowed faintly like moons. The pirates stared. "By the depths," someone whispered. "This was buried generations ago." Wild Rose smiled. "Longer." They loaded the treasure in stunned silence, hauling chest after chest from the sand as if the island were giving up a secret it had grown tired of keeping. By noon, the Wayward Star sat lower in the water, rich beyond reason. No one asked how she had known. No one asked how an 18-year-old girl could bury treasure before any of them had been born. When the island slipped back beneath the horizon, the spell broke. The return to port was thunderous. Cannons fired in celebration. Rum flowed like rain. Music exploded from every tavern as word spread faster than fire. A new captain had come in heavy, and she sailed under No Crown's permission. Wild Rose walked the docks amid cheers and toasts, pirates slapping her back, calling her Star Captain. Red Witch, Rose of the Tides. The broken compass shook with stomping boots and wild dancing. Gold coins clinked in careless handfuls. A man stood on a table singing a song about an island that vanished when you blinked. Wild Rose drank, laughed, let herself be young. She danced with sailors who would be dead in 10 years. With women who had knives hidden in their smiles. With men who had never believed in fate until she proved it wore red hair. Lantern light painted the room gold and sweat and joy. Late in the night, as the party roared on without her noticing, Wild Rose slipped outside to the docks. The sea was calm. The stars were sharp. She leaned on a piling and watched her reflection break and reform in the dark water. Somewhere, far beyond this time, she remembered herself burying that treasure, older, harder, hiding wealth not for greed but for this moment, for proof, for fun, for the sheer defiance of time. Behind her, the crew laughed and sang her name, Captain Wild Rose. She stayed until dawn, until the rum ran low and the sun painted the masts in fire. Then she returned to the tavern, raised a final toast, and promised them another voyage, another impossible map, another legend waiting to be claimed. Time could keep its secrets. Wild Rose was done keeping hers.